I'm a huge horror fan. You did an amazing job. I would love to know what intrigued you to take on the role of Claire.
Well, her journey is very much the loss of a child through a parent's experience, and I not recent, but in my mind it feels recent. I recently became a parent, and that experience is one of my biggest fears. But I think in the film it was a metaphor for deeper things, and I felt that the metaphor is what I fell in love with for this film, and in terms of the journey of Claire and what the Vangs were trying to express. So for me, on the outside, it looks like a horror film, but as an actor, I was tapping into some other things.
You definitely had to tap into a lot. Your character is going through depression, as you mentioned, the child situation. You lost your child. Also, you're trying to handle a family case at work, which seems like child abuse, but it's supernatural ordeals taking place. You're also battling a strained relationship, this clairvoyance developing. It's so many aspects to your intense character. What was your favorite scene to film?
My favorite scene was when I approached that field and then I see my son.
Yes.
For me, it was just visually so, it was rather spiritual to see that field that they chose and to know that I was going to be encountering my son, and there's a kind of facing your fears in that moment. And that scene and the way we shot it and how she kind of lets go, that for me is the transitional piece that I think almost everyone who's going through this kind of suffering and trauma wants to get to. So that was my favorite scene.
He did an amazing job, just beginning to end. How was it like working with the Vang brothers?
They're great. They're so easy, and I respect them so much for how hard they fought to keep this character API and to keep their vision intact. And I know that they're very indie in that they wanted to preserve their vision, and I respected them so greatly for that. And the fact that they just came to me and, said, hey, we would really love for you to play this role. I had met them quite a few years back. So the fact that that initial meeting became this for any kind of actor, those are the kinds of meetings that you're really grateful for, that those connections last for a while.
Without giving too much away, Michelle, what do you want audience to brace themselves for when they watch this film?
I think that they should brace themselves for the horror, because I think the Vangs deliver, and I think that for me was I was a little bit surprised, like, oh, it actually is a horror film. In my mind, it was a drama, but the horror's there, so be on the ride for that. I think there's some wonderful spooks, and there's some wonderful characters that come out of nowhere that you're not expecting, which is so wonderful, that all the performers, all the actors were just so terrific. Everybody was so committed to their experience, because you're dealing with the supernormal, the paranormal, and then I think hopefully you'll be surprised with the depth and complexity of the story.
What did you learn about yourself as an actress from taking on this role?
I learned that when I am in this position of having to carry the narrative from the beginning to end and really trying to bring as many perspectives as I can for this one character's journey, I learned that, it's something that I'm hungry for. And it's something that it gives me permission to fail. It gives me permission to try things. And it gives me permission to really empower myself as an actor to ask for the things that I want. Normally on films where, maybe you're coming in for a few scenes, or your through line's really not that clear, you're kind of laboring on behalf of the story. But in this case, I was able to truly explore all the facets of Claire and stay committed to that. And the Vangs really gave me that permission. And so, when you're given that opportunity, you want to know that you can deliver. And I felt very good about that experience.
One of my favorite scenes in the film was the kitchen scene. where you and your son's dad, he was trying to profess his love for you and trying to make it work. And you had to restrain so much emotion. You could tell that you still have love for him, but you were grieving because he did not know all what was going on in your life. How did you get into that mental space for that specific scene?
That's such a great scene. That was a hard scene. I think we were pressed for time. It was awkwardly, the space of it was, a little bit technical. Um, you know, you know, how did I get, that's, I think that, one of the things that I had to do was I had to somehow undercut what she was feeling in that we got a few takes out where I was able to express all of the rage. And once that got expressed, I think there was a deeper emotion there that was surprising. And I think that was what made that scene work, was once we got through some of the more obvious choices, we were able to find a deeper pathway, because these two characters are not, they're not in this, they're not in aligned.
Right.
So trying to figure out how to get them to connect in that moment was the challenge. And I think we were able to find that in a surprising way.
What would you like to say to the cast and crew?
What I like to say, oh, they're amazing. I mean, this was a small crew. They worked really hard, and we had a lot of young collaborators and young filmmakers showing up every day. It wasn't easy to shoot, but I thought that everyone really put their heart into it, and we had a couple of hard days where just, logistically we were pretty challenged, and everyone kept showing up, and that everybody, especially when it comes to filmmaking, it's one of these things that you have to do because you're passionate about it. And I really appreciate how much everybody brought their heart into it.
And Michelle, who will you be watching the premiere with on the 17th on Shudder?
Oh, not my kids. Not my kids. Definitely horror fans, because this is it's a good old fashioned horror at the end of the day. But my secret is that I have a hard time watching myself. So I might just, sometimes you have to just experience things alone, and once you processed it, then you go with friends. But the fact that Shudder's premiering it so soon, I have been thinking to myself, oh, how am I going to watch this?
Well, congratulations, Michelle. Keep being awesome, and thank you so much for your valued time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Tammy. Bye.